It is, what day is today? Put down below where you're watching from and what day it is, because I know some of my friends are from around the world. Hello, we are heading into Wednesday. Yes, we are. So put down below where you're watching from and what your current health and fitness questions or challenges might be, and maybe I'll just cover that topic for you. And let me know, give me some hearts right now if you love my live videos, if you find them helpful, if you're like, hell yeah, I love this is entertaining, whatever, smash the heart button. So I'm gonna cover something really cool today, guys, because I get this all the time. People asking me, like, what kind of diet should I do? What kind of style of eating should I actually have? And let me tell you this, it's going to be different for every single person, okay? Let me make sure you guys can see this right real quick. Okay, so I might be in the way, but I'll be moving and kind of showing you guys the ins and outs of my little drawings here. If any of you guys have known me since childhood, I'm pretty good at drawing and painting, but when it comes to, you know, like infographics, it's pretty simple. I just make little stick figures. So anyways, we're going to talk about different styles of eating and what you should actually be aiming for and where you kind of fall in the mix and where you should not fall in the mix, okay? So the three main styles of eating are intuitive eating and macro counting and I don't know, the I don't know range, which I also call the no bueno zone, okay? So let's start with intuitive eating, because the majority of the world, whether you realize this or not, you eat intuitively. And this is solely based off of feelings of hunger and cravings and whatever the hell you feel like eating, right? So this is why I drew little hunger pangs around my little girl here. So when you are feeling hungry, you feel like you're craving something, you know, you just eat whatever you want to eat. You eat what you crave, you eat what you're in the mood for, you eat what you have time for. You know, that's the biggest excuse is, oh, I don't have time to eat in the morning, I don't have time to eat, you know, I'm stuck in traffic, or I had a work meeting, or, you know, something came up, and, you know, we always have excuses why we can't eat, right? So the majority of Americans and people around the world, and why they end up into this I don't know cycle of disease and obesity and all this other crap and health issues, is because they're eating intuitively without knowledge, okay? So the biggest key to actually sustaining a healthy lifestyle when you want to eat intuitively and enjoyably, you are missing the knowledge part. And so when you are not reaching your goals, when you're not reaching your goals and you're kind of tracking macros, you're kind of doing this or that, it's usually because you're still lacking the knowledge that you kind of need to actually know how much you need to eat and what sources of food you need to eat consistently, and how you evolve with that, but also in a balanced way, so you can enjoy like pizza and ice cream and regular foods that we all eat, even if it's just healthier options and healthier recipes of those foods. And even if you like, you know, McDonald's or whatever, that's cool too. You can fit that into an intuitive lifestyle. But the thing is most people are missing the knowledge, the backbone behind intuitive eating, to where they can use it to their advantage, for their health, for their vitality, for their energy, and their just overall health and goals, their body goals. And this is why people aren't happy. They're not happy with where they're at, because they're trying to fit things in, but they don't know how, and it's because they're lacking the knowledge. And what I want to go over now is, how do you get that knowledge so that you can eat intuitively and enjoy your lifestyle? You get it by having coaching, you get it by having research, doing research on your own, or going to college and doing research, you know, stuff like that. Always staying on top of like the latest stuff that scientists are putting out, and the research that's being done on food and eating and all the other ins and outs of health. And then also you get knowledge from experience, right? Whether that's good or bad experience, we learn from it if you allow yourself to learn from it, obviously. So these are 3 reputable sources of knowledge. And the thing about obtaining knowledge is you have to be very careful. It's 2019. You know, we have access to millions of resources on the internet: Google, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest. You know, there's always a bunch of stuff out there that's telling you to do this. Your friend's telling you to do that. Some bro spitting out bro science in the gym is telling you to do something else. So the thing is, you can't rely only on experience. You have to get knowledge from other sources. You have to outsource some knowledge from elsewhere too. So that sometimes that means like admitting you need help and hiring a coach, hiring a trainer, having somebody to teach you, having a mentor, or going to school yourself for health and nutrition. And doing science-backed research, because again, there's a lot of opinions out there that aren't really backed by science or facts. There's coaches out there who are telling you things and they're not actually true, or they're really mishmashed, okay? Again, bro science, okay? There's different things out there that you have to sift through, and the only way that you're going to be able to do that is to actually learn what's right. And this is how you do that. So in order to successfully eat intuitively, you have to have the knowledge and acknowledge the feelings that you have with food. In order to eat intuitively, truly, that fits in your favor, that fits in a lifestyle that's sustainable and healthy, you have to have the ability to see food and know what it means to plate up that food and put it in your body. You can't just see food and say, oh, I want to have that because it tastes good and my dopamine levels rise and I feel good and happy when I have it. And then you get into this cycle of emotional eating. And I've been there. I've been that person who emotional eats off of anger and stress and anxiety. And, you know, it's insane. And that is what is happening everywhere. There's women coming to me that I work with nonstop who have emotional eating habits and bad relationships with food, and it's because they're missing that. They come to me for that knowledge, and I'm so proud of them for that, for stepping forth and doing this so that they can stay away from the I don't know, no bueno zone. Okay, so that's intuitive eating. Now let's talk about macros. Because, you know, obviously you see this on Instagram. Everybody's counting macros. Everybody's putting their macronutrient count on their pictures and their recipes. And you're like, well, I want to use that, but how do I fit that into what I want to do with my body? Because what somebody else is doing with their macros is not going to work for you, okay? Because that's tailored to specifically them. Yes, you can take their recipe and input it into your own macros, but then it's all relative, right? You have to take it out of your macros and deduct it. So how do you do that, right? So normally we all like to use macro calculators. So we use macro calculators like MyFitnessPal. There's some other ones out there in the App Store. There's a bunch of different ones on the internet like bodybuilding.com. And there's also scientifically proven formulas that nutritionists and dietitians use, like I use with my clients. And this is because macro calculators are always going to be different. Whenever you go to a website, it's going to spit out something different. So you have to be aware of that because it's never going to be completely accurate. So this is where coming hand in hand with a nutritionist or a dietitian, like myself, would be very beneficial to make sure that you're actually getting the right amounts, because whatever you're putting into these calculators is not always going to be accurate to you. And that can be a whole nother video that we can talk about later on why macro calculators shouldn't always be relied upon. So, like, for example, like with my clients, I actually give them their macros and their calorie count, and I have them put that into MyFitnessPal if they want to use that to track their food, but I don't tell them to use MyFitnessPal to spit out their macros for them. Does that make sense? Okay, so back on track. macros. So you're using some source to figure out your macros and your calorie count, your protein, fats, and your carbs and your calories to be in a surplus, a maintenance, or a deficit. And you're really doing the same over here for intuitive eating, because that's what's lacking. This is the knowledge, the surplus, the maintenance, the deficit, the calories, and the proteins, and the fats, and the carbs. All of this has to come into account with your knowledge when you are intuitively eating in order to fit your goals. I just want to reiterate that. This doesn't mean that you are not counting calories. This means you're taking that into account, but you can visually understand what is in a potato. You can visually understand what is in chicken, right? So that is how you get to that point of knowing what you're putting in your body. Anyways, macros. So this is where you have specific goals and you can dial in further specifically. So like for my bodybuilding clients who have to step on stage and we have to do specific protocols to peak them for stage so they get the right amount of conditioning in their body, macros and calories are very specific for them, and they're manipulated a little bit more so than the average lifestyle client, just because of that extreme level of conditioning that they have to bring to stage to be competitive. And you can do the same thing with a lifestyle client, but maybe not so much as aggressively. It's really all dependent on the person and the goals. So I'm not going to tell you specific percentages because that again is relied upon the person. Okay, so generally you'll see like a pie chart or a graph and you get percentages of carbs, proteins, and fats. And what macros does is it takes into account your total daily energy expenditure, your TDEE, and your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. And this is the amount of calories that your body needs in order to function, like coma calories, like right when you're doing nothing to just survive. This is what your body needs, and this is how much you total expend per day. And also what is included that I feel like a lot of people forget about, and as me as a nutritionist, I definitely take into account on everybody's actual nutritional needs on their, like depending on what their age is, their health condition, their stature, you know, it's all going to be dependent on the person itself to actually know what their nutritional requirements are. So recommended dietary allowances for every day, this is also taken account with macros and intuitive eating, because that is how you get true health. You don't skip out on your micros even though you're focused on macro counting. You have to make sure you're getting the right amount of nutrients, that way you don't get any deficiencies. And if you're combating certain health ailments or conditions, this also matters because you need to make sure that you're getting enough iron and all your vitamins and minerals that can help cope with anything that you might have. Okay, so I hope that sums up this. So when you're macro counting, you're really being specific, you're really being disciplined, you're really being focused on the numbers. And sometimes this doesn't work for people because it's too harsh, it's too much to think about, and it's too much to log and track your food. And I get that. And that is why I teach my clients both forms of eating. And a lot of times the goal is to squish them together so that they can do both. Okay, because the idea is to coach them to a point where I can send them off like a mother bird, leaving the nest, flying off on their own, so they do not have to be dependent on a coach in the future if they don't want to, that they have the know-how to take care of their bodies, and sustain it long term after they reach their goals with me, and then they set new goals and they evolve with their body. They know how to move with their body, because your body is not static, it's dynamic. Your body's always changing, it's always adapting to what you do, because that is how we are humans, that's how we live, because that is a survival mechanism. So you have to realize that the body is like this mechanic machine inside on a cellular level, and and you constantly have to be thinking about how you are feeding it and how are you taking care of it so that it runs properly, and it runs properly for a longer time than it would if you were in this no bueno zone. Yeah, so I'm getting a little off topic here. So let me know if you got questions down below, if you found like this was helpful to kind of like clear that up. So I'm going to talk about the I don't know, no bueno zone now, okay? So how do you get here? How do you guys think that you get to the I don't know zone? This is the zone where you're just winging it, okay? And this is the way that most of us actually grow up, because we just grow up eating whatever we want, or like maybe we're picky and we just follow suit to maybe like whatever our parents do, or you know, how our family eats, how our culture eats as a whole, especially in America. Like, we eat differently than other countries, of course. So how do you end up in the I don't know zone? It's because of the intuitive eating with the lack of the knowledge. And you can have some general knowledge, like everybody has general knowledge about health and nutrition, but not extensive enough knowledge for us to actually take care of ourselves. This is why we have doctors. This is why we have nutritionists and dietitians. If everybody knew how to take care of their bodies, wouldn't that be easier, right? And so that's why there's this extreme need for this in our country right now, because everybody is going to impulse buying and MLM products and all this garbage, you know, repeating the cycle, and it's really hurting the percentages of obesity in the world and overall health. So you get to this I don't know range from not having the knowledge, okay? And what does this lead to? Obviously, overweight, obese, no energy, feeling tired all the time, getting sick often, having micronutrient deficiencies, having cholesterol issues, having blood pressure or blood sugar issues, having circulatory or cardiovascular issues, bowel issues and inflammatory diseases, autoimmune stuff, and having malnourishment as a whole, and even down to eating disorders and having just general anxiety and fear over eating, having that bad relationship to food. So maybe you're in a binging cycle and you're eating like fries and donuts and, you know, and then other days you're like, okay, I have to be good. I have to be eating salads all the time, or just chicken and broccoli. And then on the weekends you go and have the fries and the burger and the pizza, and you just get yourself in this mind warp constantly, week after week after week, of having anxiety and fear over food and not having the knowledge and the understanding around it to have the right balance to eat intuitively or with macros. And so, you know, generally you try and you try, you fail, you try, you fail, you try, you fail, and sometimes you give up altogether and you're just okay with that, and you end up in this I don't know zone, and then you just settle for disease and health conditions. Or overweightness, you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm just gonna have to be fat for the rest of my life, or, you know, oh, I guess I was just born genetically this way, so I can't change the cards that I was dealt. No, you don't have to settle for less, you're just choosing that. So this is how you're just winging it, you know, and you can change this if you seek the right help. If you actually want to change, you will find a way, okay? There's plenty of resources out there. If you have any help, if you need any help, reach out to me and I'll help you with that. So the problem with this I don't know zone is which chances are nowadays everybody has health history within their family. If you have a health history of any of these no bueno health conditions and diseases and ailments and chronic stuff, you are double no bueno. Your risk goes way up. So you have to be really careful, because this will add up very quickly if you're not careful as you age. Your muscles are going to continue deteriorating. If you're a woman, you are highly more likely to get osteoporosis at a younger age. You do not want these things, especially what's that? Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's also huge. You know, and I don't want you guys to forget that your fats and your carbs are important. for your overall body functioning. And this is why. It's because of health issues. So if you're playing around with these extreme fad diets and you're like, I'm going to cut out fat, like all fats, I'm going to cut out all carbs, I'm going to cut out all sugar, like that's actually not good for you and it's not sustainable. So what you really need to be doing, let's just sum it all up here, what you really need to be doing is getting the knowledge that you need in order to do both, so that way you stay out of this I don't know zone forever, and you mishmash the intuitive and the macro eating together, because you need the knowledge of the macros and the calories and the energy within the foods you eat and the sources that you should be eating, especially if you have deficiencies or if you have health ailments that you need to combat, or if you have allergies especially, you need to know, you have to have the know-how of the knowledge behind this and the knowledge of this, and mishmash it together and have the intuitive, macro, sustainable, healthy lifestyle balance. And that is what I teach all of my clients, all of my Foxy Ladies who are successful, and I graduate them after their 12-week program, and sometimes into the alumni program, so that they can truly, truly have a foundation that lasts a lifetime and a transformation that truly changes their life, not just for 12 weeks, not just for 6 weeks, not just for 3 months. It's for life. And it's not a quick fix. It takes hard work, and it takes wanting to learn what is best for you, because what somebody else is doing down the road might not work for you, and it's not probably going to be best for you, and it's not going to be as effective or quick for you. And this is how people just compare themselves to other people all the time. They just get wrapped up, and they have all of these mindset issues and develop all of these fears and anxiety just around food and healthy eating and lifestyle. And if you're not careful, you're going to end up like one of those negative Nancys who are stuck here in I don't know, no bueno zone, and they start criticizing people who are healthy, who are trying to get better about themselves. And, you know, you have to really separate yourself from those type of people too, because they will drag you down. It's just a fact. And this is why proximity is power. I've said this in my other live videos. So if you guys thought that this video was super helpful, I hope it was, because I felt like this was super valuable to be giving to you guys, you know, for free on Facebook. I love teaching you guys, you know, whatever you would like to know about health and nutrition. I'm truly here to just give and love to you guys and show up and help you guys out along your journeys, because we don't deserve to just settle for less. We don't deserve to settle for this, because we have families that depend on us, like my kids and my husband. You know, we have people that we want to support in our lives. We have bigger goals. We are meant for more. We have true potential, and the only way we can tap into that is if we take care of ourselves. Especially if you're a business leader, if you're a business owner, or you know, you're higher up in your company and you have a lot of responsibilities. If you're in this cycle, you're gonna feel tired every day after you get home from work. You're gonna feel exhausted and like foggy every time you're at work or you're doing something important in your household that requires your focus. You're not gonna have the focus. You're gonna crash. You're gonna feel like you need to nap all the time. And this is how it becomes when you're not prioritizing yourself. And you know, it's just the bigger picture. So try to be open to learning, because education and learning is power. Okay guys, so that's what I'm gonna leave with you guys today. I'm sure this video is super long, but tag somebody in it if you thought this was super helpful and you think that they could benefit from this too. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye guys.